Hello again, everybody, and welcome to this very special edition of Freeform Friday on a Sunday, a hot Sunday here in Montreal. Why, you might be asking yourself? Because I have two great guests joining me here today for a very special interview, none other than the good brothers themselves, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with me.
It's great to be at Freeform Friday on one hot Sunday, coming off of an even hotter Saturday night, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. We're here in the Firehouse, and we're live.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure is all mine. So my first question is going to go to Luke Gallows. So you stated early in your WWE stint as the catatonic yet violent Festus has essentially been erased from its documented history.
Yes.
Do you personally consider it that offensive to those that may struggle with mental health issues?
You know, that's a great question. I've pondered that because nobody ever came to me and said this will be erased from history. Eugene also basically erased from history. And I 100% understand why that is. One of the most uncomfortable moments that I ever had to go through was doing a show with a bunch of special needs children there in one of their developmental territories. I was a special guest, and I had to walk out amongst them and their parents doing that gimmick. And I didn't feel like a very big man that day. So I don't know if it's personally offensive to people, but I certainly understand, why it's been erased. As far as doing the character, I did enjoy doing it, and I think that the kids who watched it enjoyed it. But again, I 100% see why it would be considered offensive.
Our next question is for both of you. Any particular preference among the following teams in New Japan Pro Wrestling with which to work? The Kingdom, Goto, and Shibata, Makabe and Hanma, or Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer?
Well, geez.
You just named some great teams, brother.
Yeah, we had great matches with all of them. The Kingdom stuff, we were able to sneak in some entertainment value and do some Maria stuff, which,
wasn't being done.
It didn't really fit in with the New Japan at the time until you get 12,000 people at a sold-out Ryogoku cheering for AJ Styles and Carl Anderson dancing with Maria.
Yeah.
It was pretty new to that company. Goto and Shibata,
excellent.
Yeah, did we wrestle them in the or maybe in Ryogoku?
I think in Ryogoku. I think we might have wrestled them in a final one time.
Makabe and Homa, some great match. I
just love Makabe.
And Harry and Lance, we worked at at a Wrestle Kingdom with in the Tokyo Dome. So
yeah, that Harry and Lance match is like one of my favorite in my career because it was my first IWGP Tag Team title win. It was my second tour, and winning the titles in the Tokyo Dome. I mean, that was a hell of a resurgence for my career. So that was a special one.
If I'm forced to answer, I would say Goto Shibata inside of a Tokyo Dome or something would be I'd like to have one more.
Yep.
There exists a wide variety of opinions out there about Nick and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks. Having been in the Bullet Club with them and still tagging up with them even now, care to add your perspective on them?
Yes, we say this all the time. I think that there are probably 50 professional wrestlers who should go to the store and buy a thank you card and fill it out to Nick and Matt Jackson and send it to them in the mail, because professional wrestling wouldn't have evolved the way that it has, and there wouldn't be all these options, and everybody wouldn't be making all this great money if it weren't for the foresight of the Young Bucks, of the Bullet Club. But them going forward when we went away to WWE and being able to come together and captivate the imagination of this man with all these resources who wanted to create a new professional wrestling company. We used to joke on the bus. I used to say one day to the Young Bucks, WCW will come back, and we would laugh about it. And we'll all have these giant WCW contracts. And then when AEW opened, I said, you guys did it. You actually did it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if they get enough credit for the Bullet Club as well, because when the Bullet Club was formed, when the Young Bucks came over to New Japan Pro Wrestling in probably October of 2013, they brought along a fan base that not everybody knew about. It was, the very smart Ring of Honor PWG fan base that they brought along to the Bullet Club. And, it wasn't so much mainstream but they were game changers then, history makers then, and they changed the entire wrestling business. And, anybody inside the wrestling business, in my opinion, in our opinion, has the Young Bucks to thank for that.
Yeah, I mean, they brought Indie Rock to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that started to really change the game.
Yeah. And now their nightly payout is more than a lot of people's yearly salary combined.
Yeah, 100%.
What are your impressions of Jeff Jarrett, and what was it like working for him when you were in Global Force Wrestling?
We always say that Jeff Jarrett's a visionary. I've tried to copy things that I've seen Jeff Jarrett do as I've tried to promote wrestling over the years. I was with Jeff in TNA. I was with Jeff in India and Ring Ka King. We were with Jeff in Global Force. Jeff always sees a bigger picture. It's Jeff's idea to try and bring Global Force and New Japan together. It's Jeff's idea to take the Tokyo Dome pay-per-view Wrestle Kingdom and put it on worldwide pay-per-view so that it can be viewed in America. So you hear a lot of different opinions about Jeff Jarrett, but we respect the hell out of him. And I love the fact that you can still turn your TV on today and see Jeff Jarrett in great shape out there doing his thing. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, we learned a lot from Jeff watching him. We didn't work. Did you work with him in TNA? Yeah,
a little, but I mean, he wasn't there as much. He was in.
Yeah, we did some stuff with GFW and in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and just sitting and talking with Jeff and watching him do what he does. He's obviously a legend, and we can learn a lot from him from outside of the wrestling, the promoting part, and we learned a lot from him.
Yeah,
love him.
You made your Ring of Honor debut at War of the Worlds, a co-promotion with New Japan, working with the Briscoes there. Can you talk a little about your thoughts about the now somewhat canonized team?
I mean, we just absolutely love the Briscoes. That was the first time I'd ever stepped foot in Ring of Honor. It was electric in that building. I think they get a lot of credit, but maybe not enough credit for what they did for tag team wrestling. And then also, when we were in Impact Wrestling, man, we had a great time with them. We went down to their real shoot farm, and we shot a massive fight scene with them and got to see, those are two guys, and the tragedy is such a shame, but great dads, great humans, great professional wrestlers.
Yeah, I love the Briscoes. They were always good to us. Put us over in Hammerstein and on their show, and had no problems with it.
All right, let me just get my next question here after the Briscoe. Did you have dealings with or under the direction of Kerry Silkin in Ring of Honor? If that is the case, what are your thoughts of him? If not, who was in charge while you were in Ring of Honor?
No, Kerry. I saw him a bunch of times. He was there always, if I remember correctly. I believe Joe Koff was in charge when I was there, right, when we went.
You were there more than me, but Joe Koff was in charge during that time.
Joe Koff was in charge.
Kerry's always been great when we see him. He's very polite, always has a big hug for you, but we didn't work with him very much at all.
Yeah, he was always polite, nice, and yeah, he was just always there. It seemed like as a fan hanging out, I think.
I think that Kerry Silkin loves wrestling, and he loves seeing the boys, because I swear there have been buildings all over the country. We walk in and he goes, "Hey!" We got, "Hey, brother, I don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't know you'd be here or why, but it's good to see you."
Yeah. Delirious was booking, I think, when we went there, which
we like Delirious, man.
Like that. So they were always good to us. Ring of Honor was great to us at that time.
Yeah. And this question is for Luke Gallows.
Yep.
You feuded with Glenn Jacobs, Kane, and Deep South Wrestling in your early days. Any memories of Kane you'd like to share, as well as memories of your team with Terry Gordy's son when he wrestled as Jesse?
Kane and I didn't really feud in Deep South. They brought Kane to Deep South to get me ready to be the Imposter Kane, which the point of that was to promote the See No Evil movie that was coming out. But again, that was some of the first stuff I ever did on a big level. Like, I was in developmental for like 3 months. I was the youngest guy there, definitely the greenest guy there at the time. I just turned like 21, and they sent me out on my first house show loop to wrestle Kane. So it was an overwhelming experience, but it was a good learning experience. I remember there was a massive storm in Lakeland, Florida. We're trying to get to the building. There's no rental cars left. So I have to jump in the car. The Miz, who was starting out, and myself riding with Kane. The show's already started. We're trying to speed to Lakeland, I think, from Tampa. We get up to the building, and there's a massive tree that fell from this storm in the middle of the road. So a young Festus, Miz, and big Glenn Jacobs, Kane, have to go outside and move this tree out of the road. We drive up, and I was still doing my freaking deacon gimmick at the time. And as we pulled up, they said, "You guys are next." So we had no time to call the match. And I just remember I ran and put my stuff on real quick and messed up my crazy hair, put my makeup on, and I got out there and I was like, I'm wrestling Kane and I don't know what to do, you know. And he was such a professional. He did the deal, and as he's raising the things to blow the fire with his hands, he told the referee as soon as he turns around for me to give him a big boot. I gave him a big boot and started getting heat on him. And we're in there just working, and he goes, "Do you know my comeback?" And I was such a fan, I knew his entire comeback. And super duper easy, but a hell of a learning experience for sure. He was always good to me and tried to help me out, I think. So.
And are you at all surprised about what he's done in the world of politics?
You know, we always knew that Glenn was a smart guy and he liked talking politics, but I mean, yeah, I think it's a little surprising, and I don't think that we've seen. I don't think this is his pinnacle. I think he has huge political aspirations. I don't know that on a personal level, but it seems that way. Nothing surprises me with crossover and professional wrestlers anymore, though. I'll say that.
All right. My next question is for Carl Anderson. Can you talk about training under Cincinnati stalwart and former wrestler Les Thatcher, and also working early on in your career with the likes of Jimmy Valiant, the Future Abyss, and Jerry the King Lawler?
Yeah. So I quit college and I moved to Cincinnati when I saw Les's school being featured on the MTV show True Life, I Want to Be a Pro Wrestler. And so I moved to Cincinnati. And this was at a time that the HWA, which Les ran at the time, had just lost their WCW developmental deal. This was in 2000. And it was right before he got a WWE developmental deal. And during this time, I trained with Les for 3 months. And with that said, he was great. There was guys like Surfer Cody Hawk, a guy named Taxi, a guy named Matt Stryker, who would help him. And Les, when he would get in the ring, you learned a lot from him. I still think about the way he sold a wrist lock, and I thought it was really cool. But I got a concussion 3 months into my training, which I never had one that severe, to be honest, and it was just weirded me out. And I remember I took off probably a year of wrestling and just lived in Cincinnati and worked and tried to figure out my dizziness and trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. And then I went back to train with Roger Ruffin in the Northern Wrestling Federation. He refereed Roddy Piper and Shawn Michaels. Does that sound right? No, Roddy Piper and Bret Hart. WrestleMania 8. And Roger was a great trainer and taught me a lot about the business. I grew up, and one of my favorite wrestlers was the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant. I don't think he gets enough credit, even when I talk about growing up and watching Ric Flair and the Rock and Roll Express and Nikita Koloff and the Great Kabuki. I always kind of forget the Boogie Woogie Man was so important to my childhood.
Yeah.
And so in 2003 or 4, I got to win the NWF's World Heavyweight Championship from the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, and it was a dream come true. My dad got to watch it, and it was really cool. Really cool. He was great, easy. He taught me, he was out selling gimmicks during the intermission, and we hadn't called the match yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I was nervous as fuck, right? I'm thinking, he's going to come back and call this match?
Nope.
He comes back, and he called, and the stuff he called, I'm like, it just was, it taught me more in my career how little you have to call when you're over,
What? Oh, my gosh.
And then Abyss was always great to me. He was Prince Justice. I mean, I actually got a chance to wrestle with him inside of a garage type place in Price Hill in Cincinnati, Ohio, before he became Abyss, way before. And it was before he went down and did the TNA stuff, before he went to Puerto Rico. And he was always one of the best. He was known in Cincinnati area as one of the best big men in the business. And I look back at that time and he could move. I mean, he was so good. And I don't know if he always gets the credit that he deserves.
He deserves a ton.
Because he could really, really go.
He had a lot of range too.
Yeah. He was a great trainer too. He was, I was there in 2002 with him, and he would run the wrestling training. So I got a chance to work with him a lot. And he was my second match ever, and I forgot a bunch of spots, and he didn't kill me.
That's good.
I heard he was really mad about it. And then when I came back, he was really nice to me, and I was like, wow, I'm glad he was so nice, but I didn't realize that he was furious. I fucked up everything. But he was. I was also a kid, but he was great, really great. I learned a lot from him.
And what about Jerry Lawler?
Jerry Lawler. So, dude, these guys, I think it was called Arson.
I didn't know you even worked Jerry Lawler.
Let me tell you.
Oh, here we go. This is one I haven't
What
heard.
a memory. It was think it was called RCW, I believe. And anyways, it was like an 8-man. I think it was me, a couple of gimmicks called the Heartbreakers, and not those guys.
Not those guys. Okay.
I was new, young in the business, probably 23 years old, and these guys were talking about retiring. And I remember thinking, "What are you retiring from? I've never seen you before. You know, I don't know what the hell you're talking about." And I teamed with a guy named Sean Casey, who's Cincinnati wrestling.
He's Cincinnati
famous,
wrestling
right?
famous for sure.
And it was an elimination match, 3 other people and Jerry Lawler, and I was supposed to get in the ring with Jerry Lawler at some point, and everyone else wanted to get in the ring with Jerry Lawler. And so I just said, I learned about myself to my detriment or my whatever, maybe my good. I don't know. But I said, just pin me first. I don't give a fuck. So they pinned me first. I didn't even get to step in the ring with Jerry Lawler. And that was the end of it. So I don't know what it was like. There you go. I learned a lot about myself that, like I said, it's either been good for me or bad, because I'll take the fall. I don't care. And you notice wrestlers go, great, Carl will take it.
Oh, yeah, they should do.
Maybe it's made me a lot of money. I don't know.
It's made you a lot of money.
When you made your WWE return or debut in 2016, now as a unit, you attacked the Usos straight out the gate. Are you surprised by the Bloodline success years later, especially Jay's somewhat unforeseen emergence as a bona fide single star?
No, not at all. We knew how good those guys were. I saw them at the end of my first run, and you could already tell they were going to be really good. And by the time we got there in 16, obviously they were a seasoned tag team. They've been through, the ups and downs and stuff like that. But I think that you also knew like how talented the Shield was, but everybody knew there was something very special about Roman. So I think that the emergence of those guys is really no surprise, and we love what it's done for our brother Tama Tonga, Hikuleo, all those guys. Obviously, Jacob Fatu is massively talented, so I don't see it as a surprise. It's just a lot of times they have to decide to go with you. There's a lot of people who are very talented, but once they decide to go with you and stick with you, you don't fuck it up. You can do really well.
Yeah, the talent was there. We knew they'd do great. It's just navigating the political system there, and they've clearly done well.
It's a political firestorm, but if you have the right people behind you, you can do just fine.
Yeah, like our friend
Firestorm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, so your first major WWE pay-per-view was SummerSlam 2016 against the New Day, when it was a 3-man unit. What are your thoughts on the talents and personas of Kofi, Big E, and Xavier?
I was in developmental with Kofi back when he had a fake Jamaican accent. Another guy you knew had a ton of talent. And I had seen Big E. He's like a natural bench press champion, like United States wide. I think, but the thing with those guys is they had a ton of charisma and they had a ton of great ideas. Then again, they got the right people to listen to those ideas and let them run with it. Vince always got a kick out of them, which helps. And they're just a fun act. If you have kids who watched wrestling during the height of the babyface New Day run, which was years and years, they probably loved them.
Yeah, every house show, they used to run house shows every
weekend,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for every single weekend, every weekend for years and years and years. And pre-show, before the show, as the crowd would file in, they chanted "New Day Rocks, New Day Rocks" for the entire 4 years we were there.
Can never deny how over they were.
Yeah, and great brothers too. Very
they're our buddies. We love those guys.
Very welcoming and helpful, and teaching us and helping us with the WWE style, and not wanting to lose, not caring if they lost, or not caring how they looked, wanting to help each other. They were great.
You also had some high-profile matches with the controversial Enzo Amore and Big Cass or Big Bill. What was it like to work with guys whose crowd heat and mic skills may have far exceeded their in-ring abilities?
Well, I think that's part of the WWE style. They were great characters at the time. Both guys were really young in the business, but they were great characters, and they did get a great reaction. So that makes it a lot easier. If you got green talent, but they're over, I think that
Yeah, they were, and we had good matches with them.
We
And
did.
I think they were, I think they were a little underrated.
Yeah.
I think that they were fine in the ring, and they were good in the ring, and they were easy to, they might not have fit everyone's mold because big guys are hard to fall in love with.
Especially in this day and age, it's harder to book big guys.
And I think Enzo was so good on the mic and such a gimmick that sometimes it overshadowed that he could actually take a bump.
Yeah.
So,
he could.
but they were gimmicks and they were over as hell. So
We got good personal relationships with both. We just worked with Enzo Amore at Fourth Rope Wrestling in Paris, France, which we really enjoyed. He's a buddy of ours, and the same with Big Bill. Big Bill struggled for a little bit, but we brought him back into wrestling. He was nervous about coming back and doing anything, and brought him to Lariato Pro, our promotion down in Georgia, as a surprise for his first night out. He did a couple of shows there, and then we talked him into coming over to Impact with us. And of course, they saw the big bastard with the six-pack and fell in love with him there, and had a little Impact run and went off to AEW, and he's still running strong. So I'm happy to see that.
yeah.
Would you consider your Bullet Club stablemate and good friend AJ Styles a once-in-a-generation talent, as the wrestling media has described him so many times?
Yeah, I think it's easy to compare him to probably Shawn Michaels or something, right?
Yeah.
As good as he was, I think I think he was one of the best wrestlers in the world for a while. I think when he went to New Japan Pro Wrestling,
It was a big highlight for him.
yeah, but I think when he came to New Japan Pro Wrestling and joined the Bullet Club, I think we gave him that edge that he probably needed.
For sure.
And when he got that edge, it took him to the next level. And
It carried him into WWE too.
it took him with some serious heat into the WWE. And then in WWE, I mean, every time he needed to be heated up a little bit, they called upon
They called the
boys.
Good Brothers.
But when push comes to shove, if you put AJ Styles in the ring, he can go with anybody still right now.
You can't deny his longevity. I mean, as we sit here and he approaches 50 years old, he's still going out there and performing at such a high level.
Yeah. And he's giving. He's not going to try to take from you. He'll help you. He'll help anybody to get over. I mean, he's one of the best ever.
Yeah.
In 2018, you literally began by turning babyface and reuniting with then Finn Balor. How did you like that babyface run?
It wasn't very long.
Yeah, we didn't really love it because they cut it short. So.
I think more about it was they're trying to find something for Finn, and I think once again you can call upon us to heat somebody up a little bit, and I think they wanted to see if we could bring a little bit of.
They wanted to see some character out of him.
Some character.
Usually
out
we
of
can
him.
bring some character out of somebody, and he's done great.
I guess we're good heaters,
We're good heaters.
which maybe someday we'll just say those guys are good.
Maybe someday.
It wasn't very long, so I don't think it lasted long enough, or it was done right, because I think it could have been an awesome opportunity to pass on. DX's could have passed it on to us with us.
Yeah, that 25th anniversary Raw.
25th anniversary of Raw could have passed on their heat to us, and we could have really ran hard with it. But it's all you got to.
It's who they choose.
Yeah, it wasn't written in the stars.
At the 2018 Money in the Bank kickoff show, you got to work with the Bludgeon Brothers, so Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Essentially, any fond memories of Luke Harper, Jonathan Huber?
I mean, I think everybody said so much about him, but there's so much more you can say. I mean, a great professional wrestler, but also just a great human, funny guy, a good dad, family guy in a hard business. We really miss him a lot. We've talked several times about doing our own podcast and having a Luke Harper episode and a Bray Wyatt episode, but we don't think we'd get through it without breaking down, so we haven't done it yet.
Yeah, he was always just the same thing. Happy that we were there, happy that we signed with WWE, happy to help. Just him and I for a while did singles matches on house shows.
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 weeks straight. 3 or 4 shows in a row each week.
Yeah.
And so worked with him a lot.
Sometimes during your first WWE run as a team, you'd get a main event match on Raw, but it was essentially to put over the big single stars in makeshift tag teams. What are your thoughts on that?
That is WWE 101. Obviously, as a tag team, we wished there would have been more focus on tag teams, but there were not. I think it was a testament to us. They knew that we were over enough and good enough performers in the ring that we could get heat on those guys and in turn make those guys look good. And I think we always did. So if that was our role, we played it well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, we got to be there, right?
Yeah.
We always want more. Everyone
Always.
wants more. We wanted more out of everything. But now this is an opportunity now for us to get more out of what we want now.
Yep.
So.
In the summer of 2019, it was reported that you'd signed a five-year contract renewals with WWE. If not for the pandemic and whatever other factors, how did you foresee the 5 years to come at that point?
So we could go all the way back. I mean, we obviously made the wrong decision. We wish we would have signed with AEW in September of 2019.
Right.
That's just our one regret.
That's our one regret is that we screwed that one up.
That we even re-signed with WWE. But it went obviously opposite of what we thought.
Yeah.
So I think it started out great. OC reformed, and I thought we were going to have an opportunity to tell the whole story. But you just learn that WWE is a business. You're a number. You're a
spoke in the wheel, as they say. Yeah.
And people need to never forget that.
Yep.
Winning the World Tag Team Cup and being declared the greatest tag team in the world at the 2019 Crown Jewel event on Halloween, do you feel it enhanced your standing or the company's faith in you in any way?
Oh, I think it just proved what everybody already knew.
Yeah.
Greatest tag team ever.
Yeah.
Your last appearance in WWE the first time around was the cinematic WrestleMania Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles. What are your thoughts on the new direction in pro wrestling and your involvement in this particular match?
Yeah, it was one of the Hardy compound and then the Boneyard match where cinematic had to be the way to do it because of the pandemic. And then we were unceremoniously fired 11 days after being in a main event WrestleMania match with The Undertaker. And then we went on to create the massively successful Talking Shop Mania and do a complete spoof of it called the Boner Yard match that we filmed on my property in Georgia. And we feel like it was a lot better.
They got enough buys, I believe.
Got plenty of buys.
Yeah.
And who were the agents or the producers involved in putting the match together and setting it all up?
Shit, I don't know.
Well, Hunter was there.
Hunter was there. Yeah.
Michael Hayes was there.
Undertaker and AJ did a lot of it.
Yeah. A lot of one take stuff because they're all pros were in there.
Yeah.
And that was there. Michael was there and Hunter was there.
Pretty much Michael and Hunter. Yeah.
In the middle of a deadly pandemic, and this cameraman were just coughing all over the place.
Oh, sicker than hell.
Thinking, are we safe out here?
No.
What are your initial sentiments about signing with Impact Wrestling in the summer of 2020 and being presented as baby faces?
Scott Zamora came to us immediately as soon as the news broke with, an unbelievable offer. We didn't know they had the capability to make an offer like that. And, we went back and forth about it for a couple of weeks. And Scott's idea was to present us as big stars. We were hot at the time, and we thought we deserved that. So I thought the debut was great. Our first pay-per-view paid our contracts. That slipped out into the wind, and it's a true statement. So proved we could draw. So we were happy with that.
Yeah, I loved our time at Impact. It was. We had a great 2 years there. They offered us another 2 years in 2022, but we wanted to go back to Japan, and that's how everything else happened. And we ended up going back to WWE. But we would have re-signed again there, but it felt like we went in there, did our thing there, and it was kind of time to move on.
Yeah, we thought let's take 6 months or a year, do some Japanese stuff, and then decide if we want to revisit it. And then WWE offered us a truckload of money again. So.
All right, Carl, you've mentioned that your view of The Rock has changed greatly in the evolution of you from being an ardent teenage fan of his work to your more recent exposure to him in the corporate wrestling environment. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, a lot of things I say on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, or podcasts, is just stuff to get people moving a little bit, keep rocking. The Rock was a hero of mine growing up. He is a Mount Rushmore guy probably forever. Just, you know, we were never around him much in WWE.
No.
I really don't have anything bad to say about him. When I say those things, I'm just bullshitting, fucking around. Yeah.
He did troll us by putting his New Japan shirt on, though. Once we were announcing we were going to New Japan, as soon as we left,
him being involved in WWE clearly makes it a bigger, a larger than life thing. So anybody that's there while he's in charge, or
also makes it very, very, very different.
Corporate.
Last question. In 2022, you were given the option of re-signing with TNA for a pay increase. Looking back, do you wish you had accepted it with the 2020 benefit of hindsight?
We don't know if you don't know how that would have went, because the TNA management has changed so much, because we would have been 6 months or so into those deals, however long, and Scott D'Amore, who were big Scott D'Amore guys, they kicked him out on his ass, which formed Maple Leaf Pro, and that's why we're here now. But I don't know how that would have went, because we were such Scott guys, and I mean, just full transparency, people don't like hearing us say this, but we were making a hell of a lot more money than everybody else. So I don't know how that would have went. Well, the new management came in.
Our plan, it wasn't so much that we wish that we didn't we wish we would have re-signed with Impact. It was more, I liked our plan. Our plan was to just kind of move away from Impact for a second, go back to New Japan Pro Wrestling, do all the big New Japan Pro Wrestling shows, do the Tokyo Dome, and then just kind of revisit, see where everything's happening. But at that time, in between those contracts, Triple H called us. Yeah. And so it really threw a wrench into our movements.
All right. On that note, we're going to wrap things up. I want to thank the both of you for the time you took out of your day to do this interview. And I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this interview. As always, if you like what you see on my channel, Triple F Freeform Friday, be sure to like and subscribe. It goes a mile away.
Thanks for having us, brother.
My pleasure.